while William Shakespeare was writing the last act of Hamlet across the Thames. A group of 218 merchants were preparing paperwork for a trading company. They called themselves the Governor and Company of Merchants of London Trading to the East Indies. Their goal was simple: buy spices, sell them for profit. On the last day of the year 1600, Queen Elizabeth granted them a royal charter. None of them could have imagined they were creating one of the world's first multinational corporations, one that would reshape the globe. For 150 years, the company remained what it had started as, merchants competing with Dutch, Portuguese, and French rivals for access to Asian markets. They established modest trading posts, small fortified compounds where English merchants lived as guests in the vast Mughal Empire. At Madras in 1640, they built Fort St. George, a wooden palisade overlooking the Bay of Bengal. The company flag flew over a handful of English posts trading alongside thousands of Indian merchants. In 1665, a marriage to the Portuguese crown brought Bombay as a dowry. Still, they remained small players in someone else's empire. Then came the crisis that would change everything. Events halfway across the globe brought war to India, putting Britain and its allies against France and its more powerful Indian allies. The 7 Years' War had reached Bengal, where the young Nawab threatened British trade. The company directors in London dispatched their most ambitious servant to handle the crisis, a former clerk named Robert Clive. He had arrived in India as a teenager with little prospects, but had proven himself a natural military commander in the company's wars against the French. Now they sent him to Bengal with a simple mission: secure British trade by any means necessary. Clive saw an opportunity others had missed. Instead of fighting the Nawab's vast army, he decided to buy it. On June 23, 1757, Robert Clive didn't win a great battle at Plassey. He orchestrated a great transaction. For the price of bribing key Bengali generals, the East India Company gained control of Bengal, the richest province in India. In a single day, a trading company became a territorial power. Bengal had always been the sink into which European silver disappeared. After Plassey, it became the treasure trove from which vast wealth flowed back to Britain. Everything had changed. The company now had the revenues of an empire and the army to defend it. With Bengal's wealth, the company became unstoppable. They could now afford the largest army in India, not British soldiers, but Indians fighting for British pay. These sepoys earned 3 times what local rulers could pay. By 1820, the company commanded 200,000 Indian soldiers. As one observer noted, the colonial conquest of India was as much bought as fought. War followed war. 4 campaigns against Mysore, crushing the Marathas, defeating every rival power. Each victory brought more territory, more revenue, more sepoys. The wealth was staggering. Company ships returned laden with silk, cotton, and indigo. By 1800, Indian revenues funded not just company profits, but Britain's wars across Europe. The company extracted vast wealth from Bengal, over £2.5 million from the Nawabs in just 8 years after Plassey, with Clive personally taking £234,000, making him the richest self-made man in Europe. But in Bengal, famine and exploitation followed. What had been the richest province in the Mughal Empire was systematically drained.
My husband used to tell me the British were different from other conquerors. They spoke of law of progress, of lifting us from darkness. I believed him. I had reason to. I learned to read and write, to ride and fight alongside the boys. When I married the Maharaja of Jhansi in 1842, I thought I was entering a world where strength and intelligence mattered more than tradition. When the British built schools and roads, when they spoke of ending harmful practices, I thought this was a new kind of empire, one that ruled through improvement rather than the sword. I was wrong. Civilization was just another word for submission. When my husband lay dying in 1853, he adopted our son according to Hindu law. 2 British officers witnessed it, signed the papers. But sitting in Calcutta, Lord Dalhousie had already decided Jhansi would be his. He called it the Doctrine of Lapse. The company assumes control of kingdoms when princes die without natural heirs. Since 1848, he had been devouring kingdom after kingdom. Satara, Nagpur, Oudh, some states, Dalhousie wrote, fall like ripe cherries into our mouths. Adoption, sacred in our tradition for centuries, meant nothing to him. Our son meant nothing. I meant nothing. For 3 years, I fought them with their own weapons. I hired their best lawyers. I cited every treaty, every precedent. I wrote appeal after appeal in perfect legal language. Every single one was rejected, sent back essentially unread. But it wasn't just me. My people watched as temple revenues were seized for company coffers. They lifted the ban on cow slaughter, butchering sacred animals openly in our streets. Everything we held sacred was being ground to dust. Now it is May 1857. The cartridge rumors have set the sepoys ablaze. Delhi has fallen. Meerut burns. Those who believed British promises are learning what I learned. This was never about civilization. It was about conquest. Today, Captain Erskine calls one final tribunal, their last chance to show whether they are civilizers or conquerors. The choice is theirs. What will they choose?
वीर शिवाजी की गाथा उसकी याद ज़बानी थी।